Did you know that if you have multiple Apple devices, they unlock additional features between each other that work automatically just by being logged into the same account? See, these devices were very specifically designed with this in mind, and the more of them you own, the more value you get out of each one of them. So each time you buy a new device, you're actually unlocking capabilities in the devices that you already owned. Now, Apple built these products to communicate with each other and share information with each other totally behind the scenes, so it all works like one big system. And today, I'm going to show you 10 things that you might not realize your Apple devices can do together. Some of these are really cool, but more importantly, all of them are incredibly useful and they add real value. So let's make sure you're getting your money's worth. Hi, I'm Dan Fox, and I've spent almost 32 years helping people navigate technology. Now, as we get into these features with your Apple devices, the first thing you want to do is make sure all the devices are logged in on the same iCloud account. Most of these features will work after that one setting. Now, there's a few minor settings we have to enable to get some of these other features to work, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Very quick and simple. So do you have an Apple TV? We have them in every one of our TVs in the house, and if you have an Apple TV, you know how easy it is to lose that tiny little silver remote that each one of them comes with. But if you've lost one and you're in the middle of a show, no worries. Your iPhone actually has an Apple TV remote built right in. By default, it's only one swipe away. You just swipe down from the upper right-hand corner to get into the control center and select the remote icon. Now, if you somehow removed this from Control Center or you don't see it there, you can still easily get to it by swiping down anywhere on your home screen. That's where the icons are. When the search box pops up, just type remote and click the icon. When the app opens, it asks you which TV you want to select, assuming you have more than one. You click the TV, you swipe on the screen to navigate through the menu. It has the pause play button and all the other buttons that you're familiar with from the actual Apple TV remote. It's also much easier to use when you need to type a movie title in or a password or something up on screen because you can use your iPhone's keyboard instead of clicking around on individual letters with the Apple TV remote. And depending on which model iPhone and Apple TV you have, you can also control the volume just by turning the volume knob up or down on your iPhone with the remote app open. You can also use the lock button or the Siri button on your phone to use Siri with your Apple TV.
Open Hulu.
My wife and I use this all the time. And again, depending on what iPhone version and Apple TV version you have, you can also use this app to turn the TV off. And the iPads also have this same Apple TV remote app. Super handy. Sometimes at night I'll be in bed reading on my iPad. My wife will fall asleep on the other side of the bed watching TV, and I can just swipe down in the upper right-hand corner of my iPad, select the remote app, select which TV I want, in this case the bedroom TV, press and hold this little power button, and boom, TV's off, back to reading. Hey, real quick before we get into the next one, if you're finding any value in this video, please consider giving it a like. And if you like this type of video content, please consider subscribing. I genuinely appreciate it. All right, let's go to the next one. Do you have an Apple HomePod or a HomePod Mini? If you're not familiar, this is Apple's smart speaker, and this feature works with the original HomePod, the HomePod 2, and the HomePod Mini. If you're listening to music or a podcast on your phone, you can just take your phone and wave it close to the HomePod, and the audio will switch over to the HomePod, which usually has much better sound than the iPhone speaker. Now, I'm not playing the music that's coming out of her phone here because I don't want to get copyright striked, but when she puts it near the HomePod here, it just goes straight over and starts playing out of this speaker. It's a really cool feature, and you can do the same thing to make it go back to your phone. Let's say you're leaving the house, put your phone near the HomePod. This time you'll get a little pop-up on screen you have to click to transfer back to iPhone. The audio switches back to your phone, and then you can leave and keep playing it. And one of the coolest things about this is that it also works for phone calls. So let's say you drive home, you're on the phone, you walk into the house, you can just wave your phone over the kitchen HomePod. Now it's on speaker, great audio, great microphones, and you don't need your phone in your hand. You don't need to have your phone on speaker. It also works in reverse. So if you have a call going on a HomePod at home and you need to leave, you can just wave your phone over the HomePod. The call hops to your phone and you can take your call on the road. It's very cool. It's like magic. So this next feature is called AirDrop. And this is a staple for so many Apple users. But if you're not familiar, let me ask you this. How many times have you seen two or more people standing right next to each other, emailing each other photos and videos or texting them to each other? Takes forever if it even ever comes across, especially if it's a big video. It's a slow process and there's a much better way. Apple has a built-in tool that will send these wirelessly from one iPhone to another, and it's crazy fast, even for large files like longer videos. You can also send files to and from iPhones to iPads and to Macs, and vice versa. They can all send to each other. Now, there's a couple of ways to use AirDrop. The most common way is if you're with someone who has an iPhone, all you have to do is open the photo or video that you want to share, and then click this button in the bottom left-hand corner, and then click AirDrop. And if they're in your contacts list, they'll show right here. I'm going to click Angie. And then on her phone, it'll pop up. She says accept. And boom, she's got the photo. This works really quick for videos too. And if you wanted to send a bunch of photos and videos at once, you can do this by going into the Photos app, selecting all of those photos and videos, and then following the same procedure. Now, another really cool thing about airdropping from iPhone to iPhone is, sure, it works when you're next to each other, but if you start an airdrop session and the other person leaves, even if they go miles away or states away or to the other side of the world, your phone will then switch over to cellular or to its internet connection and continue to send the file to them. Oh, and the other way to send a file to someone if you're right beside them, perhaps the easier way, is to get the file open like this photo right here, and then just touch the iPhones to each other. You get a pop-up to share, you click that share button, and then boom, the other person gets the photo without you having to do anything. It's very cool. Now, for all of this to work exactly like I showed here, there's a couple of very quick settings that you need to enable on your phone. So just go to your iPhone settings, scroll down and select General, scroll down and select AirDrop, and then once you get into the AirDrop section, make sure you have Bring Devices Together and Use Cellular Data turned on. Up here at the top, you typically want to have contacts only on, meaning you can only send things to and from people in your contacts on your iPhone. But if you'd like to send or receive something from someone that's not in your contacts, you can disable it basically for 10 minutes. So when you say everyone for 10 minutes, that means after 10 minutes, it'll switch back to contacts only. This is also useful on your own devices. Let's say you have a large photo or video on your phone that you need to get over to your Mac. You can just AirDrop it to your Mac. And on a Mac, you can actually send pretty much any file type through AirDrop, not just photos and videos. It is super useful and it's built right in. Now, if you have a pair of Apple AirPods, and if you're not familiar, which would really surprise me because pretty much everybody has them now, but that's Apple's wireless Bluetooth headphones. And if you're using them with your iPhone, like most of us are, you know how quickly and easily you set them up, but you also know that every time you put them in your ears, they just automatically connect to your iPhone. They also automatically connect to your iPad when you switch to it, or your Mac. But what a lot of people don't realize is you can also use them with your Apple TV. And this is especially nice if you're trying to watch TV while something else is going on in the room, because many AirPods have noise cancellation, so you can just erase the background noise and watch your show. Now, for most people, this should just work like this. While you're watching your Apple TV, you put your AirPods in, shut the case, and then you'll see up on screen, it's hard to see here, but it says my AirPods name, and it says press the TV button on the remote to connect. I'm going to press that button. And it switches over, so the audio is now coming through my AirPods. And again, depending on which version you have, you can either squeeze to pause and squeeze to play, or double tap to pause and play, which is pretty nice. Now, if for some reason your AirPods don't pop up on screen the first time you do this, you have to manually connect them the first time, and then they will automatically connect every time after. I'll put a link in the video description on how to do this manually. So there's an app called Find My that comes pre-installed on every iPhone for at least the last 4 or 5 generations, maybe further back. This works on all of your devices to help you find anything else you own that's an Apple device. So you can use Find My on your phone to find your Mac or your iPad, and vice versa. They can all find each other. This works really well, but it works especially great if you have an Apple AirTag. We put them on our keys, we have them on the dog's collars, and it's really nice because you can just pull up Find My on any of your devices and see where all your stuff is. And you can make your AirTags play an audible sound. So if you've lost your keys somewhere, you can play the sound, walk around the house, listening for the sound, and find your keys. All I have to do is hit play sound and head towards the noise. You can also hit this find button and it'll actually show you as you're getting closer and closer physically to the lost item. We find it super useful. Now this next one feels almost like an extension of the Find My app. We've all misplaced our phone at some point. It's literally why I get loud color cases, because they're easier to see. But if you have an Apple Watch, there's a button on it that will make your iPhone play like this loud ping sound. And if you hold that button down, it'll even make the camera light flash so you can find it if it slipped down into a dark location like under the couch. What's really cool about this is even if you keep your phone in silent mode like I do, this particular feature will make it ring anyway. So I feel like we use this one at least once a week. And I talked about this one a little bit in my MacBook Neo review, and it is nice to have a keyboard that has the fingerprint on it so you can log in with your fingerprint, or a MacBook that has that. But if you're wearing an Apple Watch anyway, there's a single setting in the Mac that allows you to unlock your Mac with your Apple Watch. So if you tap the keyboard, it will check and see if that's you. Do you have your Apple Watch on? Is your Apple Watch unlocked? And if it is, it'll log right into your Mac. Takes like 1 second to verify. To me, it's easily as convenient as using your fingerprint to log in. Very quick setting on your Mac to enable this. Go to your settings, go to Touch ID and password, and make sure this toggle right here is turned on. And here's another really cool feature on Apple Watch that I'm really surprised more people don't know. When I've used this before, I've had people say, I didn't know you could do that, and they have an Apple Watch on. So I like sharing this one. How many times have you gone to take a photo with your camera and you want to use the rear camera, which is always better than the selfie camera? So you prop it up on a timer somewhere, and then you all get together and you hope the photo turned out well. Well, there's actually a camera remote app for the Apple Watch. So when you have your iPhone propped up somewhere, you go to your Apple Watch, you open the camera remote app, it'll immediately connect to your phone. Here you can zoom in and out with the dial. There's a few settings you can go into as well. If I push these 3 dots here, I have it on a 3-second timer. Various settings you can go through. I never actually mess with these settings, but to keep it simple here, I'm just leaving on 3-second timer. Then you get into position, look at your watch to make sure everyone's in frame, hit that 3-second timer button, and get a photo with the best camera, the one on the back. And yeah, I could have framed this shot better, but this was like take 6. And if you have a Mac, an iPad, and an Apple Pencil, there's something called continuity markup that allows you to sign PDF documents on your iPad while those documents actually only exist on your Mac. You don't need to remember what it's called. It's a ridiculously complex sounding feature, but all you have to do is this. Locate the PDF document on your Mac. In this case, it's a blueberry pancakes recipe on my desktop. I'm going to single click it and then hit the space bar. I'm not going to double click it to open it all the way up in the preview app. It only works this way in quick preview. I've got my iPad ready. Up here in the upper right hand corner, I'm going to hit the markup tool. Looks like a pen with a circle around it. And then in this pull down, I'm going to select this iPad because I know this is the iPad I need. And the document pulls up here. All I have to do is take my Apple Pencil. I'm going to sign off on this and then hit this checkbox here. And now it's part of the document. And if you're familiar with signing PDF documents, just know that it's already flattened, so the signature cannot be easily edited or removed. All right, and last but certainly not least is one of my absolute favorites. I use this all day, every day in my day job. It's called Universal Control, and you certainly don't need to remember that name either. But just know that you can be on your Mac with your mouse and keyboard and trackpad, and you can just drag the mouse off of your Mac screen onto your iPad screen and start using those devices on your iPad. You don't have to connect anything via Bluetooth. You don't have to do anything. You just mouse over and start using them. Mouse back to your Mac when you want to start using them there. This also works in reverse. So if you have a keyboard case, a trackpad, or a mouse connected to your iPad, you can mouse over to your Mac and start using it there. Super useful. Also works between Macs if you have multiple Macs next to each other. There are a couple of very quick settings you have to do on the iPad and the Mac to make this work. On iPad, you're going to go into your settings under General and click AirPlay and Continuity. You just need to make sure that both handoff and cursor and keyboard are turned on. And equally as simple on the Mac, you're going to go into your settings, you're going to go to displays, you're then going to go down here to advanced and make sure all of these toggles are on under link to Mac or iPad. All three of these need to be turned on. Then hit done, and that's it. Now to turn this on and off on your Mac, you'll need to go into your settings and into your display settings. Go down here to the bottom, click this little drop down, and select iPad under Link Keyboard and Mouse 2. That's it. Again, I love this feature. Prevents me from having to have multiple keyboards and mice all over my desk. I use it every day. So there you go. There's 10 features in Apple devices that are unlocked by getting more Apple devices. The point here isn't to be some sort of power user. It's just about making the tools that you already paid for actually work to their full capacity for you. And let me know of any in that list that you hadn't heard of that you think are going to be especially useful to you. And if there's some that you use often that I didn't mention, let me know about those too. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And thank you all so much for the continued support. Can't believe I'm about to hit 20,000 subscribers already. You guys have been awesome. I love reading all your comments. Please consider dropping one. I read all of them, and I'll see you in the next one.